You know when you've been playing a video game for like hundreds of hours and your hands just know exactly what to do?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's just pure muscle memory at that point.
Right. You don't even look at the controller anymore. Your thumb just automatically knows where the jump button is, where the sprint button is.
You're not even actively thinking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can hold a full conversation, drink a coffee, and just navigate this completely complex digital world
Yeah.
flawlessly because, well, your brain has offloaded all that mechanical effort.
Right, it's completely subconscious.
But imagine if you woke up one day, booted up the exact same game, and someone had entirely rewired the controller.
Oh, man, that would be incredibly frustrating.
Right. Suddenly the jump button makes you crouch. The sprint button, like, opens your inventory.
Yeah.
The absolute simplest task, just walking forward, suddenly requires this immense, draining focus. You are sweating just trying to get your character to open a single door.
Because it completely disrupts your baseline reality. You are suddenly forced to, manually process thousands of micro decisions that used to be completely automatic.
Which is exhausting.
It's extremely.
Yeah.
And that takes a massive, massive toll on your working memory.
And that feeling, that absolute sensory and cognitive rewiring, is exactly what we are getting into in today's deep dive.
It's a fascinating topic.
It really is. We found an incredible transcript this week from a popular YouTube channel called Mr. English.
Right.
And on the surface, it's basically a guide to language learning.
Sure.
But nestled inside this video
Yeah.
is a brutal, brilliantly accurate psychological breakdown of what it actually takes to move to another country.
It really doesn't hold back.
No, it doesn't. Our mission today for you listening is to look right past that romanticized, kind of glossy Instagram version of moving abroad.
Oh, you mean the photos of people laughing on a European balcony with a glass of wine?
Exactly, the perfect aesthetic shots. We want to look past that and unpack the raw, step-by-step mental journey of actually surviving the rewiring process.
Which is such a necessary perspective. I mean, moving abroad isn't just a geographic shift.
Right.
And it certainly isn't an extended vacation. It is a total restructuring of how you interact with the physical and social world.
Yeah, everything changes.
It pushes your brain to its absolute limits, forcing you to completely relearn how to exist before ultimately expanding your capacity to connect with others.
So, to start this journey, before we can even step foot onto that foreign tarmac, we have to talk about the physical reality of leaving the old world behind.
The packing phase.
Yes, the packing process. The transcript points out this universal, almost overwhelming desire to just pack your entire house into a suitcase.
Which obviously you can't do.
Right, you have to choose what makes the cut.
And that hoarding instinct kicks in because your house represents safety.
Yeah.
It represents the automatic controller we were just talking about. When you're staring down the barrel of a completely unknown environment, the human nervous system panics.
It just wants to cling to what it knows.
Exactly. It wants to drag as much familiarity as possible into the unknown.
Okay, let's unpack this. I have to admit, I got stuck on this one specific detail in the source.
Oh, the tea story.
Yes. There is an anecdote in the transcript about a guy who moved to Italy, and he used a massive portion of his luggage space to pack a giant bag of his favorite supermarket tea from home.
A very specific choice.
Right. And my first thought was, what a colossal waste of space.
I mean, it sounds a bit ridiculous at first.
You are moving to Italy. It is the culinary capital of the world. Why on earth would you waste precious suitcase real estate on a bag of basic tea that you can definitely replace with something better?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the tea isn't actually about the beverage at all.
Oh.
No, it serves a completely different function. It is a physiological anchor.
What do you mean by that?
Think about what happens when you land in a new country. Every single one of your senses is assaulted by newness.
Right. Everything is different.
The ambient smells are different. The humidity in the air feels different. The cadence of the language sounds different. Your brain's threat detection system is on high alert.
So it's looking for danger everywhere.
Exactly. So that bag of tea is a portable piece of identity.
Oh, wow. So it's essentially a coping mechanism for sensory overload.
Exactly. It creates a predictable, familiar ritual in a world where you suddenly have zero predictable rituals.
That makes a lot of sense.
When you boil the water and steep that specific tea, your brain recognizes the scent and the taste. It signals to your nervous system that you are safe.
It's like a grounding exercise.
Precisely. It provides a vital buffer against homesickness, allowing your body to regulate for just 5 minutes before you have to go back out and face the alien environment.
You know, that reframes homesickness entirely.
It really does.
We usually treat it like a failure, like, oh, you just aren't adapting fast enough. But looking at it through this lens, homesickness is just proof that you had a baseline reality you loved.
Okay.
And the T helps bridge the gap between the old reality and the new one.
It creates a continuity of identity. You cannot adapt if your nervous system is in a constant state of panic. You need that regulated baseline.
And you are going to need that regulated nervous system because eventually, well, the T runs out.
It always does.
You have to put the mug down, leave the safety of your apartment, and go outside. You have to feed yourself.
A dreaded grocery run.
Yes. And this is where the mundane suddenly becomes a monumental obstacle. The transcript describes the shocking difficulty of the foreign supermarket.
The grocery store is the ultimate testing ground for cognitive overload. It is a sensory minefield.
There is this visceral description of a traveler spending a full, uninterrupted hour just standing in the grocery aisle, staring at cereal boxes.
A whole hour.
An hour. And it isn't just because the words are in a different language. The milk is packaged in completely different types of bottles.
You're right, the shapes are wrong.
The bread comes in alien shapes and wrappers. You are standing there, an intelligent, capable adult, completely paralyzed by the concept of buying breakfast.
Well, your brain is essentially a prediction machine.
Okay.
When you walk into your local grocery store back home, you aren't actually reading the labels.
That's true. I just sort of grab things.
Right. You don't read the word milk or check the fat content. You rely on visual heuristics, mental shortcuts.
Like color coding.
Exactly. Your brain scans for a specific blur of blue on a specific shape of a plastic jug, and your hand just grabs it. It takes 2 seconds.
Because the controller buttons are automatic.
Precisely. In a foreign country, the prediction machine breaks. Those visual shortcuts no longer exist.
So you have to actually process everything.
You are forced to manually render every single pixel of your environment. You have to pick up the carton, translate the font, guess if it's actually milk or some type of drinkable yogurt, and evaluate the price.
Oh man, doing that for every single item in a shopping cart is a staggering amount of data processing.
It really is.
And if processing the available data isn't hard enough, what happens when the item you need isn't even on the shelf?
That's when it gets really interesting.
There is this incredible moment in the transcript where a traveler desperately needs eggs, but they simply don't know the local word for them.
Right.
So instead of giving up, they go up to the cashier, completely lost, and they ask for chicken circles while vigorously making an egg shape with their hands.
Chicken circles. It's so absurd and yet so perfectly communicative.
It is. And the best part is the cashier laughed, made the egg shape back, confirmed the actual word, and the traveler got their eggs.
A total success.
It is a hilarious visual, but it touches on something incredibly profound about human connection.
Absolutely.
We spend so much time in language classes agonizing over perfect grammar, verb conjugations and getting the tense exactly right. But the fundamental goal of language isn't grammatical perfection.
No, the goal is simply being understood. And what the chicken circle story demonstrates is the power of vulnerability.
But you look kind of silly doing it.
Right. Standing in a crowded grocery store, miming an egg to a stranger, requires you to completely drop your ego.
You have to be entirely willing to look foolish.
You do. But that moment of vulnerability actually invites kindness.
How so?
Well, when you drop the facade of having it all together and effectively admit, look, I'm totally lost, can you help me? People are evolutionarily wired to respond to that distress signal.
That makes sense.
It immediately breaks down the barrier between the local insider and the foreign outsider. You stop being an anonymous tourist and become a fellow human who just wants breakfast.
That's such a great way to put it. So you make it home with your carton of chicken circle eggs, and the transcript notes how this traveler felt like an absolute conquering hero.
I bet they did.
Back home, a good day might be crushing a major presentation at work. In a new country, successfully buying eggs makes you feel invincible.
It completely redefines what counts as an achievement.
It really does. But here is the catch. After you put the eggs in the fridge, suddenly you just want to collapse.
Yes, the crash.
Why does a 20-minute grocery run feel like you just ran a marathon?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we are talking about the sheer neurological toll of what we call language fatigue.
Language fatigue.
Yes. This is not just feeling a little bit sleepy or needing a nap. This is a very real physical barrier to adapting.
The transcript actually features a speaker who lived in France, and they recalled needing to sleep for 10 hours every single night.
Wow.
Yeah, and they weren't doing manual labor, they were just existing.
Yeah.
But the mental workout of existing in a foreign language physically broke them down.
To understand why this happens, think of your brain like a computer that is suddenly forced to run an incredibly demanding emulator program.
Oh, like running a retro game on a modern PC.
Exactly like that. Processing a second language that you are not fluent in requires your brain to work in absolute overdrive.
Because it's not native code.
Right. You are hearing a sound, mapping it to a foreign word, translating that word into your native language to understand the meaning.
That's already exhausting.
And you're not done. Then you're formulating a response in your native language, translating that response back into the foreign vocabulary, and then trying to instruct your mouth muscles to make the correct unfamiliar sounds.
And you have to do all of that in a fraction of a second, in real time, while the cashier is just staring at you, waiting for you to answer.
Exactly. It consumes a massive amount of working memory and glucose.
Actual physical energy.
Yes. When you are hyper-focused on active translation, you are draining your biological battery at 3 times the normal rate. Your brain has no energy left over for emotional regulation or physical stamina.
So the 10 hours of sleep is...
It's genuine physiological recovery from exhaustion.
That sounds absolutely punishing. Is there any way to speed run this fatigue phase? Or is this deep exhaustion just the unavoidable toll you have to pay to cross the border into fluency?
It is the toll. You cannot bypass the rewiring process.
Ouch.
However, there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
The transcript describes this pivotal, almost dreamlike aha moment that every language learner eventually hits.
When things finally click.
Yes. One morning, you wake up, someone speaks to you on the street, and you realize you didn't run the emulator.
Wow.
You didn't actively translate the words in your head. You just understood the meaning.
The new wiring finally takes hold. The jump button is the jump button again.
Exactly. The action has become automatic, and suddenly you get all that cognitive energy back.
That must feel incredible.
Yeah.
But, once your brain stops exhausting itself purely on survival and active translation, you enter a completely new phase.
Right, because surviving isn't the same as living.
Exactly. You aren't just trying to buy eggs anymore. You are attempting to replicate a normal life. You have to rebuild your routine, which means navigating the subtle cultural nuances of your new home and workplace.
This is the assimilation phase, and it requires a completely different skill set. You transition from language learner to amateur anthropologist.
Amateur anthropologist, I love that. It is all about the unspoken rules.
Yeah.
When you are renting an apartment, you suddenly have to know to ask questions that would be completely obvious back home. Like, is the hot water actually hot? Is the street quiet at night?
Things you'd never think to ask.
But it gets incredibly complex when you enter the workplace. The transcript suggests learning the office culture by acting like a detective.
I love the concept of the office detective. Workplace culture is almost never written down in an employee handbook. It is entirely behavioral.
You have to look around and notice the tiny details. Do people wear sneakers or formal shoes? Who is the funny person in the office that everyone naturally gravitates toward during coffee breaks?
You're mapping the social ecosystem.
Right. And the transcript emphasizes the strategic power of asking polite, low-stakes questions. Walking up to a coworker and saying, "I'm new here. Can you show me how to use the printer?"
It is the chicken circle strategy applied to the corporate world.
Oh, interesting connection.
Yeah, asking for help with the printer isn't really about learning how to copy a document. It is a socially acceptable mechanism to initiate contact.
Because everyone knows how to use a printer, mostly.
Right. It makes the other person feel knowledgeable and helpful, which bypasses their defenses and instantly builds rapport.
But rebuilding this normal life isn't a smooth, upward trajectory.
Definitely not.
Sometimes, the differences between your old life and your new life catch up to you in deeply emotional ways. There's this story in the transcript that is just brilliant. The soup mistake.
Ah, the soup mistake. It perfectly encapsulates the expatriate experience.
It really does. So a traveler was feeling a wave of homesickness, so they decided to cook their absolute favorite hometown soup.
A classic comfort move.
Right, trying to make that physiological anchor. They gathered all the ingredients they could find in their new country. But because the local vegetables were grown in different soil with a different climate, the final dish tasted completely wrong.
Which is heartbreaking in that state of mind.
It was this potentially devastating moment. All they wanted was a familiar taste of home, a physical anchor, and they couldn't even recreate that.
It feels like a massive defeat in the moment.
But here is the pivot. They ended up sharing this ruined soup with a new local friend. And the local friend tasted it and thought this mistake was an incredibly delicious, totally innovative new dish.
I love that.
Right. So what does this all mean? To me, this soup story is the ultimate conceptual metaphor for moving abroad.
How so?
You pack your bags, you move, and you desperately try to perfectly recreate your past life in this new setting.
Yeah,
And you will always fail.
it's impossible.
It'll always taste a little different. It will always be slightly wrong compared to your memory. But the new hybrid version that you create, this mixture of your old traditions and your new environment, can actually be just as good, if not better. It just requires a shift in perspective.
That is a wonderful synthesis. And it highlights the immense bravery required to assimilate.
Takes a lot of guts.
Every single day, you are forcing yourself out of your comfort zone. You are constantly making micro mistakes, using the wrong verb, misreading the dress code, cooking the soup wrong. But over time, the sting of those mistakes fades. They just become the funny anecdotes that form the foundation of your new hybrid life.
So let's look at where we are. You've figured out the grocery store visual heuristics. You've survived the brutal cognitive load of language fatigue.
You're doing great.
You are playing anthropologist at the office, and you are embracing your hybrid soup. You are officially surviving.
But surviving isn't the end goal.
Exactly. There is a massive echoing canyon of difference between simply surviving in a new city and feeling like you actually belong there. Feeling like the city is yours.
Surviving is a mechanical process. Belonging is a deeply emotional one. And belonging is usually the hardest and final piece of the puzzle to snap into place.
Luckily, nestled right at the end of our source material is what I think is the most actionable, brilliant piece of advice in the entire deep dive.
It really is great advice.
It reveals a highly specific strategy to literally manufacture that sense of belonging anywhere in the world. They call it the local cafe trick.
This is an absolute masterclass in evolutionary psychology.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The trick is this. When you move to a new place, find a small, independent cafe near your house.
Right.
And then go there at the exact same time every single day for just 15 minutes. Even if you are busy, even if you are tired, you force yourself to go. Order a coffee or a tea and sit in the exact same spot.
The parameters are incredibly strict for a reason. Same time, same spot. 15 minutes.
And the transcript claims that within just 3 or 4 days, the magic happens.
It's remarkably
The
fast.
staff will recognize you. They will start saying hello again, or they will ask if you want the usual. And in that one fraction of a second, you instantly transition from being a faceless stranger in a terrifying new city to being a regular.
You become part of the community.
It is essentially a cheat code for hacking human psychology. You are taking this massive, intimidating, sprawling metropolis and shrinking it down to a single friendly room where people know your face.
It is brilliant because it perfectly leverages the mechanics of how human trust is built, bypassing our natural stranger danger defenses.
How does that work exactly?
Well, evolutionarily speaking, our brains associate the unknown with danger. When you walk into a new cafe, you are an unpredictable variable to the staff.
Right, you could be anyone.
But by showing up at the exact same time in the exact same chair, you remove the unpredictability from their environment. You become a stable fixture.
You essentially become part of their furniture.
You do. And it requires such low-stakes social connection. You don't have to be charming. You don't have to speak the language fluently.
Which is great if you're dealing with language fatigue.
Exactly. You don't even have to have a conversation. Just the act of shared, repeated proximity builds a microcommunity. It cures that deep, hollow loneliness of a new environment because suddenly there's a physical place where your absence would be noticed.
Wow.
If you didn't show up on day 5, the barista would genuinely think, I wonder where that person is today. Being missed, that is the very definition of belonging.
I never thought about it like that, but just knowing someone expects to see you fundamentally changes your relationship with the geography of the city.
It maps you to the space.
The streets aren't hostile anymore, they're just the pathway to your cafe.
It anchors your present, just like that bag of supermarket tea anchored your past.
Wow. Let's take a step back and look at the ground we've covered today.
Covered a lot.
We started with the physical act of hauling those physiological anchors across the world to regulate our nervous systems. We navigated the paralyzing sensory overload of the foreign supermarket, relying on vulnerability and chicken circles just to buy breakfast.
We examine the harsh neurological reality of language fatigue, understanding that the exhaustion is just the brain running an intense emulator to rewire itself.
We reframed our soup mistakes as necessary steps to building a hybrid life, learning to play office detective to decode unspoken rules.
And finally,
And finally, we looked at hacking our way into a real community with the deliberate evolutionary cheat code of a daily cup of coffee.
it is a remarkable trajectory. You move from total cognitive alienation to active emotional belonging.
And here is the thing I really want you, listening right now, to take away from this. Even if you aren't planning a move to France or Italy anytime soon,
Right.
even if your passport has been expired for a decade, these insights apply to starting literally any new chapter in your life.
Absolutely. The mechanics of human adaptation are universal.
Starting a new job is moving to a new country, transferring to a new school, moving to a new neighborhood across town, or even just joining a new social group.
It's all the same process.
You are going to face that supermarket shock where your visual heuristics don't work and you don't know the rules. You are going to experience the fatigue of trying to fit in.
Yeah.
But it is all about being brave enough to make the chicken circle mistakes, being vulnerable enough to ask how the printer works, and actively seeking out connection.
It is about recognizing that the discomfort is temporary and the massive cognitive load of the rewiring process is necessary for growth.
So the next time you feel like the controller of your life has been completely rewired and you are exhausted just trying to move forward, remember to pack your tea and embrace the chicken circles. You might just figure out the new controls faster than you think.
Which brings up a really compelling thought based on that local cafe trick.
Oh.
This raises an important question for you to think about. We saw how effectively the 15-minute cafe trick works to manufacture belonging in just a few days, simply by creating forced, predictable proximity with strangers.
Right.
If that evolutionary cheat code is so powerful, what other areas of our hyper-digital, increasingly isolated modern lives could be completely transformed if we just committed to showing up at the exact same physical place at the exact same time for 15 minutes a day?